Hello. It's been a while. Actually, it hasn't been that long, but for me, this is quite long. It's a bit strange, I don't even know how to begin this. Because I know what my title's going to be and I know what I want to talk about, but I don't know how we, segue into this topic, and I don't know, So, I had the thought of this topic while I was driving home from work today, and I was thinking about the many jobs I've had in my life. Because I've had a lot. I've had 10 plus jobs, easy. And I think of every single job I've had, this one takes the ticket as literally the worst thing on human earth planet ever to exist, right? And the thing is, I know you already know what it is because I've literally written it in my head in the name of this podcast. Do you know what as well? Basically, I realised my last podcast I did really well, if you count. And I was actually just chatting about shit. So I've decided to just, this is actually a story time. This isn't my typical format. However, this isn't going to be educational at all. This isn't going to be, spiritual or, wise. This is just a story of silly little 18-year-old me living her life. So I was a cold caller for 3 months, I think, in 2020. It was when lockdown was going on. I think I started there in September, October time, because it was the year of my gap year before I became a carer. I was a cold caller for a little bit, and fuck me, was this interesting. So I'm gonna I just feel like cold calling is someone that everyone universally hates. Everyone hates cold callers, and after this, you're gonna hate them even more. Actually, it's not their fault, but there's levels to this, right? And I just hope you know what an MLM is. Multi-level marketing scheme. I just hope you know what that is, because that plays into it so much. Pyramid scheme, this shit's gonna get deep. Maybe this is gonna be deeper than I thought it was. This is actually gonna be so funny for me to relive this vicariously through my story. Is that vicarious? I don't know. Anyway, so I was 18 years old. I didn't even know I was going to uni, but I knew that if I was going to uni, I was going to do fashion marketing. Don't do that course anymore because it was a bunch of wank. Sorry for swearing, Mum, I apologise. So I was right, I'm going to start looking for jobs in marketing. I was because at the time I was a waitress, and I was I'm fed up with being a waitress. I'm fed up with fucking, I want a proper job for my year off. Look, I'm literally still a waitress, but I love my job. I love being a waitress. I actually owned up to the fact that being a waitress is so fun, and I would literally be a waitress till I die if I could. I actually can. I have that option. Anyway, so I started looking for marketing jobs or office-y type jobs, and then I found this job, and it was basically marketing job, whatever. It was kind of vague. I don't know, it was fine, but I don't know. I can't even remember what my 18-year-old brain. Oh my god, plot twist. Everything I've just said is a lie. Everything I've just said is a lie. I'm lying. I'm actually lying. Do you know, this is how badly I was manipulated in this job, right? Because I'm actually lying to you. When you find out the reason, you're literally going to be shook. Oh, this is such a good podcast already. I can feel it in my bones. Right, ignore everything I've just said. Literally ignore it. We're going to jump forward. We're going to go back in time at some point. No, we're not. Maybe we will. Just follow me, okay? We've got this together. I believe in us. Right, so I'm going to start from the interview process. I'm just going to start from the interview. Right. So I get an email. Hey, thank you for applying to this job. We would love to invite you for an interview. Okay, sound. It was a group interview. I was brilliant. But obviously it's Teams, which was even better because I love Teams. Anyway, so we do this Teams call, and there was 10, 15 people in this Teams call for this interview, which obviously means that you kind of have to fight to get what you wanted to say out, because obviously there's like 10 people. It's not like they're asking you the question, they're asking everyone. Anyway, so there was like, I was a gobby little shit back in this day when I was 18 years old. So I made my name known. Anyway, I got through to the next round. There was like 4 or 5 rounds of interviews. And looking back now, this was definitely so that you would kind of feel like, oh, well, I've done all of this, I can't just leave now. Like, kind of smart, but also, again, really manipulative and terrifying. This job is actually like, when I like explain this to you, you're going to be like, what the fuck? This is literally like a conspiracy theory. Like, this is crazy. So I got through all these rounds, and then there was like this induction Teams call or something, and it was like, right, you've got the job, let's do like a day of induction. And it was basically just like paperwork and shit like that and whatever. And then so this was held on like, I think like a Thursday or something. So they were like, right, we all want you to come in. There was like 4 of us that got through, and they were like, we want you to come in on Monday, like start on Monday. And we were like, okay, perfect, amazing, sound. So Monday rolls around. Bear in mind, I live in Bristol. For anyone that's not in Bristol, doesn't know where Bristol is, doesn't really matter where Bristol is. Basically, I don't live like this job was, I'm waffling, sorry. This is such a long time ago in my brain that I'm like really struggling to recall data in a like factual yet understandable manner. So I really hope I'm doing well. So I live about 20-minute drive from town, and this job is bang in the centre of town. Like, for any of you that know where the Hippodrome is, cross the road, go up by Cafe Mocha, there's a red building up, like as if you're going towards St. Nick's Market. It's up there. Sorry to everyone who like works there. Actually, I don't care. Let's riot outside their building. I'm not going to name drop in this. Even though I really want to name drop, because I still stalk all of these people online on Instagram, and I'm like, you're so weird. Anyway, they also offered me like a job a couple of weeks ago. They called me, like, one of the men that worked there was kind of weird, and he used to call me all the time and be like, oh, it's by accident, sorry. And then I was like, one day I was like, you need to stop doing this. And he was like, no, I actually want to offer you a job. And I was like, oh, convenient. I'm not going back for a job there, in case anyone was wondering, because I know if they hear this, also, it's going to be really awkward, but I don't care because it's the truth. So yeah, basically, I turned up to this job. So I'd driven into town, turned up to this job. There was like so there's like people there that they're not like managers, but they're called leaders, right? And a leader is basically someone who's like higher than someone else. And then above that, you've got a crew leader, right? You're kind of seeing how this turns into a pyramid scheme. So a crew leader is like kind of like the top of the top kind of thing, but also has like, isn't like the boss, like the big boss, and it's like his company or whatever. So it wasn't like a huge company. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. But imagine you've got like the big boss, and then underneath you've got the crew leaders, and they kind of like run the ship. Like the big boss, he's getting his money, he's getting his passive income, like he's doing his thing, he's chilling. He's got his fingers in many a pies, he might invest in real estate, I don't know. And then these crew leaders who are like basically the big dogs that are telling you what to do. And under that you've got the leaders, and a leader can be anyone. Like it was like, I went up for leadership at one point, and then I just decided not to, because I was like, fuck this, I'm out. So I meet one of the crew leaders. There was like 2 or 3, I think. I don't know, maybe 2. And went for a coffee morning. So basically we went for this coffee morning. They told us like a little bit about the job, a little bit about what was going on, how it was going to get crazy. Wasn't really mentioned anywhere until, because they kept using these words like domestic and like campaign, and like, what was another word that they love to use? Oh, B2C, which is like business to customer. And if you know about like B2B marketing, it's like business to business marketing. Like they made it sound hella professional, and it was not professional. So yeah, they were using all these words, and we were all kind of like, yeah, crazy, cool. And then they start talking about residential, right? Residential was the word that they used to throw around a lot. And we were kind of like, what does this involve? And everything, like, I'd been there for at least an hour and a half at this point, and I still didn't really know what my job description was. All I knew that was when I went into this building, all it was an open space with some whiteboards, some chairs, a private office, which was like his office, the owner's office, and then a side room with like one computer. So I was like, is this desk work? Like, what am I doing? Like, what is my task here? And then they start talking about, like, basically they start talking about like door knocking. That was when I was a bit like, are you joking? And that's when that whole thing kind of tied into my head of, I've just done like 2 weeks of interviews, like rounds of interviews to get here. Like, I've got to see what it's about. Also, bear in mind the fact that they seem to be turning a lot of people down for these interviews, which kind of gave me this competitor mindset and this like exclusivist, elitist, I don't know, mindset, where I was like, I've been picked, like, whatever. They really play on your toxic traits, this place. Anyway, so then I kind of realised, shit, what have I actually signed up for here? So then they start talking about the structure of a day, how your day is going to go. And it goes a little something like this. I actually think about the fact that I nodded and smiled throughout this whole thing, like, it's shocking. So you go in at 10 every day, and then from 10 till about 12:30, 1, they'd be giving you free training, which apparently, right, so this is what they would say. If you went and learned these skills in a course, you'd be paying thousands. We are giving this to you for free. There was no wage. This job was 100% commission. There was no wage. So I would go in for 3 hours, learn to sell, with air quotations, for free. Fuck off about free course. Fuck off, like all this shit. They would be like, we're providing you a service. It's like, no, babes, I'm providing you a service and you can't even pay me for my time. It gets worse. Oh my God, I can hear my housemate screaming. The noises that come from this house is crazy. Anyway, so then we would leave, right? We'd either get the bus or we'd get in someone's car. We'd have to pay them fuel money, by the way, if we got in their car. We had to buy our own bus tickets. None of it was reimbursed. He didn't offer out any fuel money. He didn't do any of that shit. So, obviously, as one of the only people that drove, I was designated driver in my little Citroen C1. So I was lugging like 4 big men around that I barely knew to these these like estates in everywhere. We went to, like, if you're not from Bristol and you don't know this radius, you're going to be like, it's not going to make sense to you. But I know a lot of people will. We were going from Bristol city centre to potentially, like, Taunton, to, like, Swindon, to, like, the top of Devon in like a day and back with no fuel money given to me. Like, is that a joke? Is that an actual joke? Are you taking a piss on me? We'd also have to, we didn't get like any there was no benefits. Like, you didn't get paid anything, like, for like, there was no like lunch thing, like you had to like buy your own lunch every day. Like, it was so bad. So the first day I remember walking around, that we were in some place in Bristol. I think we were in Hanham or something, and because it was kind of like getting close to like winter and stuff, so you would do that, right? Bear in mind, you'd get there about 1ish or so. You do that till 8 p.m. every night. 8 p.m. you'd be roaming the streets. Obviously, as it got darker, it was in the pitch black, knocking on people's doors, asking for money for them to sign up to Alzheimer's research. I still know my pitch for Alzheimer's research. That's how much it was drilled into my head. So the first couple of days or whatever, you'd have like a buddy. So you'd be buddied up with someone and they would sort of like help you out, give you like a help with your line delivery and your script or whatever. So that was fine because you get to know someone quite well, like whatever. I was with one of the crew leaders who had taken me on this coffee morning. She was like my buddy. So I was like, okay, I'm in good hands, I'm in safe hands, like this woman couldn't do it. First day I didn't sell anything, so I got home at 10 that night, so I almost did a 12-hour shift and made no money. And do you know what they called those? Learning days. fucking learning days. The amount of learning days I had. Oh, believe me. I think I'm not a pushy person either. Like when it comes to selling, especially, like, if you don't want it, babes, you don't have to have it. Like, I'm not gonna force you, but like, it was kind of frowned upon. But like, there was this thing called like, oh, what was it? It was called like green, red, amber, light. And it was like learning how to notice when someone's like a green buyer. And if you know anything about sales, you'll know that this is like a thing in sales anyway. Is like, is someone a green buyer? Is someone an amber buyer? Is someone a red buyer? Like, whatever. And it's like, if you like, it's all about body language. I learned quite a lot about like the psychology of how people behave when they're interested in what you're talking about. That was like one of the few positives that came from this job, that like I actually learned quite a lot about like body language. Like, fun fact for you guys, so imagine tone of voice, body language, and words is 7%, make up 7% of how important like your delivery is. Tone of voice was like 40 something, and body language was like 50 odd. Make that up to 100. That's how, like, that was pretty interesting to me. Anyway, so you had to like learn, and it was all like turn the red buyers green, like turn the red buyer, everyone can turn a red buyer green, blah blah blah. And it was really like, because, right, bear in mind as well, I mean, I wasn't in too much of a sticky situation because I was like 18, lived at home with my mum. A lot of people that lived there were like uni students or people that actually needed to like pay fucking rent money. Like, they needed to pay rent to like stay in these places, like live. And they were going home some days not having made any money doing a 12-hour shift. And don't get me wrong, there were people that were selling, like, there was a boy that I worked with, and one day on a road trip, this was another thing as well, this place was literally a cult. So they would send us on like road trips where we would go to like Devon, like Cornwall, like one of the other groups went to like Norfolk or someplace, I don't really know, and you'd go for like 2 days, like 2 nights, and it would just be straight selling, like, because they took out the morning training, so you were out from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. in November, in the rain, in Devon. But there was a boy who did 10 sales in 2 days, and when we did the sales, you made £40 per sale. So it's not like you weren't making a lot of money, like, per sale. Like, for me, that was quite a lot of money. Like, if you make 2 in a day, it's 80 quid. Like, 8 quid a day is all right, like, especially when you're 18. But a lot of times you weren't making 2 in a day. 2 in a day was good. But, like, for a lot of people there, the bar was sort of like 3-4 in a day. And then, like, I couldn't compete with that. Anyway, there was this boy who made 10 in 2 days. No, 10, 2 days in a row. So he made 20, which was basically like £800 in 2 days, which obviously is like an insane amount of money. But it's just not realistic for everyone. Not everyone can fucking sell. And this thing of like, no, like, what's it called? Salary, it was really scary. And it like made you on edge almost to go to work, because you kind of felt like I literally felt like a Victorian man trying to sell papers on the street. Like, what's it they say? Hey, yay, like, buy my paper. And then they'd go home and count their pennies. Like, that was literally me. I felt like a homeless man on the street, like, trying to get people to buy my big issue. Like, oh, it's so bad. And like, do you know the amount of times I got shouted at in the street? Especially because it was COVID time as well. Like, a lot of people were like, you shouldn't, like, why are you at my house in the middle of COVID? Which is so fucking valid. Like, so valid. You don't know what I've got. You don't know if I've got COVID right now. Like, and they were all like, oh yeah, PPE, blah. Mate, I never wore that fucking mask. I literally never wore that mask. But they didn't know. Do you know the amount of times as well that we'd have this thing called a tracker, right? And we'd have to go around like a village. say we were in a village. I went to villages quite a lot because I had a car, so they would send me to like out of the way places with the rich people. Apparently, that's where you made a lot of your sales, with rich people. So it sends you to this village. You have a tracker, and you'd have to write every house. You'd have to write what goes like the house name or number or whatever, and then there was like a little thing, and it was like opened the door, like interested, sold, whatever, like not interested, whatever the fuck, and you had to like tick whichever ones. So when you'd done a round, what did you have to do? You had to do your round again. You had to go through all the houses that had either not opened the door or like you'd missed, and do it again. And you had to do this until 8 p.m. every night. And you know the amount of times, especially in a village, right? You're in a village, there's fuck all going on in a village. I would walk to my car and sit in my car and just like wish that my life was ending. I remember one time it was like 7 p.m. or something, and I had like an hour left, and I went and sat in my car for an hour because I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, today has just been too much. And this woman come out and was like, why have you been sat outside my car, like our house, for like ages? Like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm a cold caller. I don't know what's going on. Oh my God. It was so bad. Like, it was so bad. And I would literally call my friends. Like, I would call Ellie and Z and be like, I fucking hate this fucking job. Like, fuck this shit. Be sat on the side of the curb crying because I was cold. I hadn't eaten anything in hours. I was like depressed. Like, it was fucking awful. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like a big part of this job as well, which I'm gonna get into because I think it was really important to talk about, is the toxic positivity of it all. So every morning when you'd be in your free training, they'd give you a "you're so lucky to be in this position" chat, which kind of basically gave me the vibes of, I don't know what I'm thinking of, Children of God? Is it Children of God? Do you remember that cult that like moved to this place in like the middle of like South America or Africa or like somewhere? They moved somewhere from America to set up like a new family base thing or whatever. Anyway, it turns out the guy who runs the cult was a fucking crazy psychopath and locked them all in I think it was Children of God. He locked them all in a warehouse and burned them all to death, or like gave them all like cyanide drinks or some shit. I don't really know. Low-key, that kind of vibe. Like, you're so lucky to be here. You're so lucky to be doing this work. We're all so positive, happy. We're so happy to be here. No, we're not. We're actually not happy to be here. And it was like kind of sorority vibes of like, you don't know who you can talk to. This was another thing as well, right? Is like, a lot of people in there were obviously like under this spell. I was under this spell. I mean, I was never really that under it, but I was kind of like, yeah, like, because you see the people at the top making hella money and like it is appealing, but very quickly I was kind of like, this is weird vibes. Also, there was another girl I met there that I really like clicked with, shout out Meg, and we would talk about how weird it was all the time and all the weird stuff that went on, so thank you for her because she literally saved my life in that job. Yeah, so we basically, like, you would get training, right, from people there. And I noticed very quickly that the only way to receive adequate training and actually be able to make any money in this job and sell anything was to stay after and drink, specifically whiskey, with the two crew leaders that were also in a relationship, might I add. One of them was this kind of like seedy man who was very like weirdly overtly sexual with me as an 18-year-old girl. He was like 23, and his girlfriend was the one that was like, I don't know, like my like buddy, whatever. I got on like quite well with her, but I always just remember being like, I actually can't say anything like bad because they've actually still got a company and I don't know if they're gonna like sue me, but I think as long as I don't name drop, it's so fine. But yeah, really weird dynamic going on there. And it was like they would talk about like having a sesh. They would always talk about having like a sesh. It was always, let's go sesh and talk like numbers, like let's go talk numbers and like get crazy and like drink whiskey. obviously, as someone who didn't drink whiskey, had a very different understanding of what a sesh was, and was driving, and also was tired because they had been working since 10 a.m. that morning and now did not want to go to the other side of Bristol, an hour away from where they lived, till 10 o'clock at night. Like, I went a couple times and it was like, yeah, you're like part of the group. Like, it was all like, it was very cliquey. It was weird. And then I started kind of like just going home because I was like, I'm knackered. Like, I'm drained. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is not healthy for me to come home at 12, have to be up at like 8. I mean, it's still 8 hours, but it's not like enough. I had no rest time. Like, my whole life was work. And as well, like, you could pick your own hours. Like, every week you could pick your own hours. Like, you could pick which days you worked, whatever. But if you weren't full-time, they didn't give you the time of day. And if you didn't go to these crazy sessions, which was literally playing the shittest card games known to man with a bottle of whiskey, and the man who runs it, no, not the man who runs it, this crew leader guy, the weirdly, like, sexual guy, just talking about how, like, giving he is for, like, 2 hours, you just didn't have a fucking chance. And I think this is where the, like, cult vibe came into it, because it was like, if you don't socialise, and do you know what was like another big thing, right? Sorry, I know I'm like talking over myself, but a lot of the people, I noticed, a lot of the people that worked there weren't from Bristol. They didn't seem to have like a base in Bristol. Like, they were quite new to the city. Like, I know one of the boys that worked there had just recently moved over from like Ireland or something. So these, if I'm comparing this to like a cult, the main like sort of constructs of a cult, targeting vulnerable people, false information, charisma. Like, these people have charisma. They know how to sell. They're salesmen. They sell it to you. You're tricked into it the same way that you're tricked into buying from Alzheimer's research. Like, they sell you this vision and this lifestyle of, you can make £800 a week. You can do this. You can do that. You can do whatever you want. No, you can't. It's literally impossible. Like, it's not feasible. And I think it's really like damaging to people that are in financial needs and struggles. Like, I was so fortunate to not have to pay rent at that time and to have like a stable home situation, not have to worry about food or whatever. And like, the fact that they were sort of conning people in, like, they didn't tell you there wasn't a salary until you got there. Like, it wasn't good. And it was really weird. Like, I don't know, like, the whole dynamic of like, you had to be a really core part of the group. You had to involve yourself. You had to drink. Like, it was very like lads. Like, I heard like a couple of the boys like would, like, because I was friends with a few of the boys, and they would say that like, oh, the boys were all talking about my body and my Instagram, and I was like, babes, I'm fucking 18, like, what are you doing? And it was very strange. Like, it's a very strange environment. And also the sort of hierarchical structure, right? So this is kind of, I'm going to explain a bit more about that. So basically, a leader, you could ask the boss, like the big boss, to put you up to be a leader, and he would give you a challenge. So you would have to hit a number of sales in a week or a day or whatever. And to do that, you would qualify for being a leader, which means you could build a team. Do you see what I mean when I say this is literally an MLM? Like, this is a marketing, like, pyramid scheme. Like, so bad. So you could have this team, right? And so when people would join the company, because there was new people coming in every week, like, you weren't new for long. You would join the company, become a leader within like 2 weeks, whatever, 2-3 weeks. And then you could start having people on your team, which means that you were responsible for training them up. You would then make £5 off of every sale they made. So they would still make 40, but you'd make 5 off of every sale they made. And then if you were a crew leader, which meant that you'd promoted 3 or more leaders. So like, if you've got 3 people on your team and they all become leaders, you're a crew leader then, if that makes sense. You would then make £10 off every sale you make, which is kind of where you see this like residual income thing coming from, about how the money flows from the top down. Like, because the people at the bottom are doing the work for you, but you're still making like the money from it. But then they say, well, it's because you train them, whatever. Not really. I don't know. It's kind of weird how it worked. Another weird thing that went on that's even weirder is that they would store your money for you in a bank account. They highly suggested you storing your money and finances with them in their bank account. Looking back now that I know like a little bit about, I don't know, like banks and shit, like I spoke to my mum about it. She was a banker for like her whole life, and she was like, that money being sat in that bank, you don't know what bank it is. It could be sat in a stock, it could be sat in something that is generating income for them. They only then have to pay you what you've physically earned, regardless of whether or not your money is making, like, compounding any interest on top of the money that you've already earned in there. I'm trying to sound financially literate. I don't know if it's working. Crypto men, don't say anything, otherwise you're blocked. I don't even think I can block people on Spotify. I forget Spotify is not my only streaming platform, but it basically is. Anyway, sorry, I digress. So yeah, that was weird, a weird thing they would do. And they were really weird about telling you. I mean, I never did it. I just kept my money for myself because I was like, this is weird. Yeah, sorry, big yawn. I knew of a girl that I worked with who would always ask how much was in her savings account with the company, and they like wouldn't really tell her. I don't know, it was really weird. Like, it was kind of weird. And then, yeah, I don't know. It was just a very strange situation. Oh, let's talk about the car crash. Oh my God. Okay, so for anyone who knows me, they will know that I hate the motorway. I hate it. And I specifically hate it because I had a crash on the motorway. This literally gives me like, this is like trigger warning material for me to have to like talk about. I talk about it all the time, but to like talk about it in this way, I don't know, is stressing me out, but I'm going to do it. Basically, right, we were on one of these road trips. Just like once a month they'd do these road trips where we'd go away for the week or whatever, like a couple of days. No, it was like 4 days, I think. I don't know how long it was.
This is a reminder. Do a wash.
Alexa, stop. See, I do have my shit together. This is my one of two things that I need to do every day. Every day, not every day, but you know I say do 2 things a day? That's my one thing. My other thing was go to work and I did it. I am disciplined most of the time. Anyway, sorry. Right, so we were on this road trip. We were in Devon, kind of. Just on a whole day at work. One of the other groups that was in another accommodation, also we had to pay for our accommodation. We had to pay for it in sales. Our first 2 sales, which was £80, got deducted from our wage thingy and went to the Airbnb we stayed in, which was actually a pile of shit. No offence. So it was actually, the whole thing was basically just a scam. It was like, you spend your money and you spend your time and you use your petrol and you buy your own food and you do all this for you to earn no money and me to make hella money off everything you do. Also, quickly, there was another thing they used to do as well. They would do all these like holidays. They would do like 1 or 2, no, they would do like 2 or 3 holidays a year where they would go on like an all expenses trip to like all these different places. Like one of them was like, they would go to pretty cool places. Like, I can't even remember right now. They would go to like these pretty cool places and you'd like earn a spot on the trip or whatever from like being the best salesman. I don't know. It was kind of like, you know, when they drip feed you like bits of like, this is what's possible. Kind of that kind of thing. Yeah, so right, we went and socialised with this other group for a couple of hours. It was about an hour drive home back from where we'd been, and it was like all motorways. Like the whole thing was motorways, like dual carriageways, like nothing really under a 50 or 60 speed limit. It was also really, really, really wet, like raining on the roads. So we were driving back. We were about 15 minutes into our journey. I was blissfully unaware, like actually blissfully unaware. I thought we were on a roundabout. And I was like, fuck, we're going around really fast. I hear screaming. I realised that we've spun out on water, like on the motorway. and we're spinning round and round and round and round on the motorway. Luckily, it was late at night, so there wasn't like other cars in the way. Like, otherwise we'd all be dead, probably. I didn't have my seatbelt on. Don't tell my mum. Every day since then, I've worn a seatbelt. And I also got in another crash about a year and 3 days exactly after that, and I had my seatbelt on. And if I didn't in that one, I actually would have gone through the window and be dead. So I learnt my lesson. Don't worry, everyone, I learnt my lesson. So yeah, we're going round and round and round and round and round. And then we hit the side. I think we hit the side of the hard shoulder. And like ricocheted off. And then, yeah. The whiplash I had, fuck me, it was awful. So we got in this like devastating car crash. Like, the car was written off and we still had to drive it all the way home. Like, oh, it was so bad. Like, I don't even know. Like, it was just like, something in it was like, girl, you need to go home now. We still had like 2 days left of this trip, I'm pretty sure. So the next day, I was a wreck. Like, an emotional wreck. I don't know, like, I'd never been in like a car crash like that before. Like, it was literally traumatizing. And then I got my mum to come pick me up because I was like, I can't do this. And I got shit. Like, they really talked down on me for going home. They were like, you're not being hardcore. That was another thing they would do as well. They'd be like, you need to be hardcore. Like, you can't get through life without being hardcore. It was literally girl boss feminism to the fucking max. Like, it did not get more capitalist than this and these people. So me and one of the other boys went home because we were both traumatized, and it was really weird. Like, it was just so like, oh my God, you went home after a devastating car crash and the other three went back out on the road. Well, obviously they care about their job and you don't. And it was just like, are you fucking joking? Like, what the fuck? Yeah, so weird. And then I don't think I actually really went back after that because it was like Christmas period, so we got 2 weeks off for Christmas. And after that, I didn't go back. Yeah, I actually don't think I went back after that. It's literally the car crash was like, babes, no, you're done. How have I talked about this for 40 minutes? Surely no one's listened the whole way through. If you have, if you've actually got this far, send me a message and I'll buy you a treat of your choice. I'm not even joking, I'll buy you a treat. I get paid on Friday, I'll buy you a treat of your choice, because I don't believe anyone's made it this far. And if you have, literally message me what you want and I'll buy it for you under £15. No, make it a tenner. Whatever you want, up to a tenner, because I don't actually know. Like, I might get really surprised and like get like 3 messages, and that's like 30 quid, which is quite a lot of money to me. Uni student life. No, joking, it's not that much, but like, I reckon at least one person's made it this far, so you're getting a treat, whoever it is. But, right, sorry, I'm really digressing. I do apologise. So I've kind of spoken about my experience working there and how crazy and like literally a roller coaster the whole thing was. Kind of want to talk about the cliquey dynamic, right? And I want to talk a little more about these seshes that would happen. The sesh. They all loved the sesh. Oh, I wish you could see the air quotes I have up right now. Oh, it just doesn't do it justice. So every Friday, Saturday, whatever, they would have these seshes where we would all convene in one of the many makeshift uni houses / flats in and around the Bristol area. It was like a different one every week, whatever. And quite often as well, they'd throw like dinner parties and like have like a dinner party. I was never invited because I don't think they actually liked me that much. But I would hear about these dinner parties, and yeah, they were all like talking business over dinner and wine. Like, yeah, so crazy. And I just remember being like, this is really weird dynamic. So basically, we'd all be convening in this living room. Everyone was drinking. It was like this weird thing that you had to drink, and if you didn't drink, there was like something wrong with you. There was like a problem. And obviously at this point in my life, I was hella stoner vibes, and a couple of the other boys smoked as well. So I would smoke weed with them. And I remember being like, one time the crew leader couple showed up to this fucking sesh. Fuck off, was it a sesh? It was drinks with workmates. I was smoking a spliff outside with one of the boys, and he comes outside, right? And this is why I want to say that, like, this was the most, like, oppressive place I've ever worked. And I worked in Sainsbury's on the deli. He comes outside and he doesn't say anything to me. He doesn't say anything to me. Anyway, I go about my time for like an hour, 2 hours, whatever. Like, I was pretty high, I'm not gonna lie, but everyone else was wrecked. Like, I don't think I was any more unruly. If you know how being high makes you, like, you're not crazy like you are when you're drunk. Then about an hour or so after this, 2 hours have passed. Why? That was the weirdest time framing. I'd been there for at least 2.5 hours. And then the man goes, right, we're going here to collect this person, and then we're coming back. You need to come. And I was like, well, I don't want to come. And he was like, you're coming. And I was like, I don't want to come. And he was like, you need to go. And everyone was like, not everyone, that's a lie. A couple people were like, go. And it was this whole weird thing. And then, like, him and his crewmate girlfriend started, like, having this bicker or some shit. I don't really know. It was really weird. Like, I felt like I was in the middle of something that I'd never intended to be in the middle of. Like, I felt like I was causing a relationship issue. Anyway, so I got in the car. Sorry, I had my coughing fit. So I got in the car and I'm sat in the front. And the guy, I keep so nearly name dropping him. The guy that was this Mr. Big Crew Leader. Sorry, I need to put on my laptop on charge, but I'm trying to do it while still talking. So if you hear rustling, that's what that is. So the guy who was Crew Leader was like, I want to have a chat with you. And I was like, why, babe? What do you need to talk to me about? Don't talk to me. Unwarranted. You loser. I'd very much established at this point that he was a loser. And he was basically like, your behaviour today has been abysmal. I'm really disappointed in you. And I was like, pardon? Sorry, what? And he was like, wow, you showed up. You were like, basically, they all thought I was really drunk for some reason. Like, they thought I was, like, wilding. Little do you know, if you actually know me as a person, I'm just, like, quite a blah kind of person. Like, people say this to me quite a lot, like, you're not sober. And I'm like, I actually quite, in fact, am sober. You just obviously don't have anyone interesting in your life that can bring you fun to the table without alcohol or stimulants. Anyway, so I am like, babes, I wasn't even that fucked, you know, like, I literally was like, what do you mean I've literally had a smoke? And he was like, we've come here to talk business. We've come here to get to know you better and bond. How do you expect us to do that if you show up fucked? And I was like, are you taking the piss? I was smoking a spliff with Sam. Oh my God, I name dropped. I actually name dropped. Sorry. It's fine. Don't care. So Sam got no stick for smoking a spliff. Was that because he was 23? Was that because he was a man? Was that because he'd worked there longer than me? Was that because he made more sales than me? Or is this just my insecurities talking? No, I think it literally was the discrimination. I literally think it was. And I remember Meg, my queen girl boss, there being in that car, and she was like, she's 18, give her a fucking break. Like, Meg was like 22 at the time, and she was like, give her a fucking break, like, what the fuck is your problem? And I was like, yeah, like, I just remember and then afterwards I remember, like, someone, I don't know who it was, someone spoke to me about it, and they were like, yeah, they've literally all been talking about you for the last, like, 2 hours, and how much you've been embarrassing yourself. And I was like, embarrassing myself? I've been having a great time. I don't know. Like, they might be embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed. And they were like, I have this quite a lot. Like, people are like, you're being so embarrassing. And I'm like, no, you're embarrassed. You're embarrassed. That's on you. I am just doing what I'm doing. And so it was one of those situations where they were projecting onto me unfairly. My sweet little 18-year-old self obviously didn't understand that at the time and was really like, you're so mean, blah, 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 blah. And then also another thing I remember, there was a lot of like weird anti-feminist moments in this place. I remember Meg, my girly, was helping this boy be sick. Again, I wasn't throwing up, but he didn't get any shit for throwing up and being fucked. I'm sure he wasn't talking business at this point. Babes? Huh? Was he? No, he wasn't. He wasn't talking any business. But you didn't have a problem with that, did you? You just hated me because I was 18. Losers. Anyway, Meg was helping this guy be sick. She had like a dress on or whatever. She was like, no, like trying to. And then the crew leader, the girl, that was weird. This like devil couple. The girl was like, oh, at least my whole fucking ass isn't fucking out. She like outed her in front of everyone. And then Meg was like, at least I'm fucking helping. Like, at least I'm helping out. And it was just so tense. And this was what they thought a sesh was. If they actually knew what a sesh was, they've obviously never been to Black Swan or had an afters after Black Swan. Because that's a sesh. And let me tell you, we're not beefing about dress length at a sesh. I think I'm done. My brain's switched off now. But that was my story about how I worked at a cult for a while and made no money, lived on the breadline for like 2 months and cried about it and met literally the worst people in my entire life. I hope you enjoyed. Maybe I'll do more story times if this does well.